audible? No, I'm not audible. This is working. This is working at least. So now, yes. करेंगे क्या इसको थोड़ी देर? हाँ, yes. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks so much for staying, awake after lunch. And Sanjay, thanks for keeping single track. They have no scope to escape. They have to listen to us. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we also need the projector to respond. Probably just had too much lunch. So who will help? How should we get this thing started? Please, yes, thank you. So let me just introduce myself. Hi guys, I am Deepti. I'm an independent consultant who also runs a agility solutioning boutique. We call it Agile Virgin. And by the same name, we also have a countrywide community of practices, and together we all try and explore and learn as much as possible around Agile so that, it makes our life easier, our working easier, and also gets us some good amount of work. And in striving to do so and in striving to build a community and learn with community and grow with community, we also do some fun events and learning with fun and networking and, as this is happening right now. And so in order to do all of that, we started with Agility Today, which was our 2 days unconference. We got a lot of feedback around that it's okay, Deepti, you guys do a good job. There is a lot of talk about Agile and there is a lot of talk about adoption. There is a lot of conversation about how, superheroes created magic. But, I mean, come on. They know what they have seen, we don't know. In Hindi, we say, Jangal mein mor nacha kisne dekha, right? So that is what, I mean, who knows if that really happens. There are so many case studies, there are so many information pertaining to how you should be doing right transformation, how to make it successful, how to sustain it, what works and what not works. Did you ever think of these questions? And for that you have to leave your phones and look here. Have you seen a full-fledged organization scale, self-sustaining, irreversible agile transformation in India? I'm talking in particular about India. Uh, uh, while flaunting what I do, I would also want to bring your focus on Women in Agile in Tech, FunConf, Change Agent Summit, and Agileathon. And so when we were doing all of this, the conversation constantly goes back to this. Fine, there are superheroes talking about and flaunting their success stories. We did not see it for real. In our organization, we struggle for so-and-so. Every time when you talk about scaling, you talk about SAFe, you talk about less, DAD, Nexus, Scrum at scale, a lot of other stuff. You also get confused what is Scrum Inc. and Scrum Org and Scrum at scale, which body is giving out certificate of what. So yes, all of that conversation happens. And so, okay, the other challenge which other, many practitioners, especially Agile enablers share about where to learn beyond what we know, where to get that knowledge. Fine, we go to these conferences, and again, we look at all these successful people who are on this side of the stage. How to, learn beyond what they are sharing in that 2-hour, 4-hour, 1 day, 2 days, event. Can't there be a network of change agents? He said, yeah, there is LinkedIn. There are a lot of meetup groups. You can do much about it. Like, no. And the biggest question was, our organization asked, you want to do transformation, you want to bring in agility, you want to so-called do Agile with Scrum and Kanban and whatever frameworks you know. Where is the success case study? Do you have it? Then you go to Agile Alliance, Scrum Org, various scaled Agile and whatnot, all these sites which are supporting frameworks, or there are agnostic Agile and non-framework supporting Agile transformation strategies also. So when you talk about that, all those stories are not coming from India. And guess what, guys? We live in India, and we are talking about an ecosystem which is pretty much hierarchy, defined in nature. We respect our elders and we follow our elders, and we are not, I mean, if we are good, we are not supposed to argue, we are supposed to respect, and if we counter question, that is a much of a disrespect, So Again, if we talk about our roots, we talk about our culture, we talk about how we operate and our mindset, it's difficult. And then there is no Mahila Mukti Morcha, there is no feminism conversation here. But yes, guess what? I mean, men of the family. So all of that. And so when you come to an Indian context, which story actually works for us? Where to get that story? And considering all of that, the biggest logo out of all of these was Change Agent Summit. And so I have special thanks to Thagat Verma and Sonali Kar on that. And three of us, we were talking and we were like, how should we come up with something that talks about Indian ecosystem? How should we go about it? And so we said we need to bring in change agents who are willing to share their stories authentically and who are willing to give out names of not necessarily blaming people, managers, companies, and peers. No, that was not the intention. But who were willing to talk about the form of transformation they have seen, if they've seen what created it, if it failed, why. And I'm really sorry to establish the fact here, and really sorry to tell you what you already know is that no, not many of them have seen actually successful transformation. And forget transformation, if you in general talk about team level to mid-level to scaling, oh God, scaling is something which is so not touched. I mean, it was really hilariously cynical that we were like, no, not possible. So yeah, so let's kind of have a look. So the question is again to you all, did you have these questions? You did? So these were the questions with which we started. And then what happened, we called out for change agents. We call it Change Agent Summit. And there were 30 change agents that day who came forward. Some of them were invited. Some of them were voluntarily coming. Some of them were, agile consultants. Some were lean transformation agents. Some were managers, SVPs, CEOs of companies. I think some of you can see yourselves there. It's not very bright, but I hope faces are still there. And you can see them. So what did we want? We wanted a mixed group. We wanted developers, and we also wanted senior VPs and CXOs who were in charge of transformation in the organization, and who were willing to share their stories. And here is some data. We also wanted a culturally aware and mixed group, not just from Delhi NCR or not just from Bangalore, which is our Silicon Valley. So we wanted people coming from everywhere. We also wanted people from different industries. So when we didn't have those people, we actually found and reached out to them that could you please participate and do the honors. And then we also wanted. So you see, we had someone as less as 9 years of experience and who was still working on agile development, like, in the industry. And then there were people who had way beyond our imagination kind of, So I just have 13 years of experience. So for me, 27 years was like, wow. So, and then obviously there were folks, so there is this none, and a lot of them were proud about saying none. Yeah, I don't have any certificates. I don't take up. Yeah, I do take up exams and all of that, but not going for agile certificates. So what is your understanding of agile? So when you say transformation agent, lean change agent, there is a lot, a person needs to know. We narrowed it down to agile to begin with. We didn't want to address everything because then we'll get lost. And then definitely we had internal as well as external change agents. So when we say internal, we mean to say people who are employees to the organization, and then external, which means consultants. Ranging from all sizes, starting as a startups, individual contributors, to working with MNCs, which are globally spreading, across. And so then the question was how to summarize, how to understand where we are. So in a unison, everyone realized that mostly we have seen 4 stages of growth, or 4 stages of aspirational growth, basically. Not all the growth has been seen by everyone here. The aspirational growth here, initiate agile adoption, like, okay, fine, we want to go agile. How to go about it? What can we do? Enabling agile transformation. So, okay, fine, with initial understanding, we started learning. Now that we have learned, let us use it. When we start using it, we are enabling the agile transformation. We haven't done the transformation. Okay, fine. When we have done that and we have done to a good amount, like let's say team level, mid-level, when we want to go to enterprise across organization wide, what should we be doing? So scaling the transformation. And let's assume if you are successful. By the way, I really want to know how many of you actually feel you have a successful enterprise wide transformation. And how does it feel like? I'm really curious because that's the only hand standing. May I know your company's name? Okay, listening for the first time, good to know. Pleasure meeting you. So how does it look like when you talk about scaling, enterprise-wide transformation? When you say that everyone is agile, you mean to say their way of working is agile? Okay. The journey has started. Congratulations. Yeah. So, and the last one was sustaining. So let's say if you have achieved it, as you have started, and how big is the organization, if I must know, and may I ask? Okay. Okay. Great. Good size to get started. Okay. Okay. Lovely. Yeah. So we definitely hope to listen from you someday. Yeah. Okay. So do you guys think that, we started with a fair thought? These four look like, growth stages when we talk about transformation for a company? Or is there anything that we were missing when we were discussing that? Fair enough? Thank you. And how did we go about it? So, then that is the question. So, okay, fine, we started with surveys and we rolled out surveys and we were constantly working on them. They were living surveys. There was too much of feedback coming in because they were just too big. They were too vast. And so survey was not a very successful first attempt for us. Good, we failed. And so we got back and we thought, and everyone came back and said, like, guys, we need to meet. We just cannot keep on filling these surveys and, talking in silos. Fine, so what did we do? We started with these four stages of growth. We divided the session in 4 parts, entire day. And then we called out for 4 facilitators for each session so that there is a conclusion and not a vague open space. And then in each session, for each maturity and growth stage, we first started with brain writing. We didn't get into brainstorming. So when the context was established, what these 4 stand for, there was brain writing. So everyone on their table was discussing and writing. And once they had their own points and understanding, obviously whenever there was a doubt, there was a discussion with the facilitator or with their own team members. Then they started brainstorming. And then brainstorming was, converging into 2 bifurcation, two parts, which was key challenges, roadblocks for this particular stage, and success factor. What will we do? Then we'll have success. So those were the 2 pivotal points where, we were thinking around and brainstorming and trying to conclude. And then each table conclude, and then all the tables went together, and then they, and it was really an awesome discussion. They were like, wow, now is the warm-up. We want to continue it for a couple of more days. I mean, but we said there's a cost, so we cannot do it for more days. But yeah, one key takeaway was that we still needed more time to conclude. We still needed more time because people take time to open up. People take time to share. Not everyone is extrovert, and we can talk about that later. So coming back to this, so this is how we tried to conclude. And then we went back and then we again run the survey. After, we had a warm-up, after we have used our brain batteries and, done some work, we went back and we did the surveys and we filled the surveys. Okay, so here is what we understood. And again, if I just have to quickly thank and who were actually putting their brains into this alongside me, Tathagat Verma, Rebecca, and Sonali. The surveys and how the report should come out. And then ultimately we worked with Rebecca. So we initially created somewhere around 44 46 pages report. And then when we were working with Rebecca, she said, okay, fine, nobody's going to read this. So you need to really cut it down, and I really need like bullet heads. And so that's where, for each of these 4 stages of maturity and growth, we had only 3 bullet points. And so this is how it looks like. First is initiating an agile adoption. So if you have to initiate any adoption, what is it that you will be doing? And I need to keep a track of time. Perfect. I have. So how much time do I have in my hand? When you say to 34? To 50? Perfect. Awesome. I still have time. So when you talk about initiating adoption, what is it that you do? And quick responses, because then Sanjay will kick me out. We start learning the first thing first. We start with trainings. We start finding the trainers. We start talking about what sort of frameworks and all of that we need to do, right? What do we do? Any other input? Yeah, please. Yeah, maturity assessment, right. Yeah, we do maturity assessment, but only when we are mature. But let's say we are just starting and like we know nothing and we have not done it before. So what do we do? Yeah, so we gain as much as knowledge possible, and then we think of how we can realign ourselves based on the knowledge that we have created. Yeah. Maturity assessment, fitment assessment. Are we even fit to go ahead with a certain framework or agile? Yeah. So exactly, better would be fitment assessment. So we do a fitment assessment. And so when we talked to everyone who has been through this cycle, fitment assessment, it's difficult to say. Is it difficult to do also? Which organization is that? Cognizant, okay. So yeah. So yes, along with that, so whenever, all of these exercises were done, the biggest challenges and the understanding that came out was why was missing. Why are we doing it? And so even if there was a why with leadership, somewhere leadership failed, to percolate the knowledge through various layers. And so it was always a confusing state why we are doing. So it was always at an individual level. If a manager was able to enroll or simply convince his team, it works. If a change agent, maybe a coach, consultant, whosoever, internal, external, was able to enroll the folks, fine, gadi start ho gayi. But if he's not able to, then it doesn't work. So that was one thing, which was lack of vision. If there was a vision with the leadership, at least it was not reaching to the people at all the level, number one. Then lack of business alignment. So it was really beautiful to listen that, your folks are working on the mindset change. I'm happy that you did not declare that, yes, we are agile, in our business domains as well. No, we are so not. Like when it comes to talk about what happens to manager's role, when it comes about to restructuring teams and, teams of teams, when it comes to talk about marketing or sales should be working on right KPIs, and they should be bringing in right work for us, it is actually so not there. I always think of this one case when I was working with a service client, and there was discussion that our delivery teams are so pathetic, and this was a service company. And so then we did a discussion with our delivery teams also, and they were like, see, first of all, we are scared. There's nobody who will support us and understand us. Because the credit goes to marketing and sales for bringing in right business and creating right awareness. They bring in any random work, and we don't even have domain knowledge to do that sort of development. So for hospital system or for the any kind of system, that was the hospital system, which was a major problem at that point in time for us. So they're like, we don't have a domain expert for that. How should we go about it? And they get just any random project, and the credit goes to them. See how much work they are bringing in, how many projects they are bringing in. It's just the delivery team which is failing to deliver. So, those kind of problems. So when we talk about agile, the business context is missing, the business is not aligned. It is so difficult to tell them. So for example, bringing in your peers, the stakeholders in your demo, is it easy? So it's not. And so then product owners, they are also frustrated. They are under tremendous pressure. And so then what happens? We, the developers, we are equally frustrated. And then we are so divided. My team's delivery and your team's delivery, we all feel like we have met our sprint goal. But guess what? Stakeholders and business is not happy with whatever we are delivering, right? So all of those challenges, and then definitely internal resistance, because nobody's addressing what happens to the middle management. Nobody's addressing what happens to, the top layer and the SVPs who have got some goals aligned to leadership are happy, and those who haven't, or those whose goals are, supporting goals, what happens to them? So yes, there is tremendous internal resistance. I do not deny that any transformation, any delivery within the business has that, but guess what? We also have, and that needs to be addressed. So then we move on to enabling agile transformation. What happens? We all studied together, we did trainings, and now teams know, and they know what is a Scrum Master, product owner, and all of that. Fine, we know, fine, we decided we'll do some of Kanban and some of Scrum. We agreed to it. All of that started. But then what happens, we cannot start delivering from very first sprint. And nowhere in my Scrum Master training it was told to me that team takes some time. And then nowhere it was told that there has to be an enablement, there has to be a right kind of backlog, and there has to be a right expectation with business. So that is where you start failing. So even if your starting is good, the very first phase is good, you have decided a good framework, you have done a good assessment, and you all are very happy and you are committed and you are willing to do it. When it comes to deliver, it starts failing. Why? Because it can't just happen. Rome can't be built in a day. So setting right expectation is again a major problem, because when we talk about Agile and Scrum, we think that there will be improved code quality, there will be fast delivery. So deliver fast. It's already 6 sprints since the transformation has started, and guess what? It's not fast delivery. So that is the problem. Providing required resources, absolutely. So there is always a discussion why you should have a Scrum Master, should you have a Scrum Master or not, should it be a technical Scrum Master, should it be a domain-specific Scrum Master, product owners, one product owner is enough, why does he need a team of product owners and BAs, all of those are questions. And then why to invest in learning, what do you do to get the right mindset and culture, all of those things are totally neglected. Scrum training has happened, let's do safe training as well. We have talked about Scrum and we have talked about scaling, now it should work. And then obviously creating the safe learning space. Failure is something which does not look good on our leaders, right? So we do not talk about our failures. I have failed tremendously and I've just learned so much. I've put in a lot of money in wrong projects and wrong social experiments, and I just cannot tell you how happy I am, because guess what? Then I couldn't have created the successful one. And same goes with organizations as well, but we don't do that. So then if, let's say, somebody crossed those murky waters and they have been able to come to a next stage, which is scaling. Okay, the funniest part. So here, believe me, in the entire hall, everyone's like, we don't know what to write. We don't know what to write in the challenges, and we don't know what to write in the key success factors, because we have not seen scaling. Now, as much as everyone is talking about safe, people have not seen scaling. What is truly scaling actually? What is scaling? Yes, please. Yeah, I mean, going beyond one team, if you forget safe, so yes, value stream is a right actually statement. So yeah, talking about, the value chain, and then how each component, each box within is impacting the other one, and then be able to deliver, which is where your stakeholders actually find value. So yes, I was working with a big FinCom, and the challenge was like stakeholders were so unhappy. We were already in, 20th or 22nd sprint, but they were so unhappy, because guess what? They were like, I don't give a shit about your sprint outcomes. They are just so lame. They should have happened earlier, or whatever. You guys can celebrate, you can feel happy, but guess what? We are not getting any value. So this is what happens. This is scaling, because everyone has to feed into that common goal, which business and stakeholders are actually looking for. And that is where we fail, because guess what? We are very much internally divided. We are very much working on our local vision and goal. And so then establishing consistency, definitely. So every team, yes, Definitely, we do respect diversity. We do talk about how each team can create their own working agreements and all of that. But that said, still aligning to same goal and working for that same goal and being able to create one such mindset wherein it's not just about my goal as well as his delivery, because guess what? His delivery won't happen, so my delivery will be of no value, is missing. That is what is missing. So now we are at the last stage, which is sustaining. So yes, on the previous one, yes, the entire group was like, no, we haven't achieved that. We are so not there. And so when you talk about what are the challenges and what are the success factor, we don't know. So it was a huge lost group at that point in time. I said, fine, just imagine that you have crossed that barrier, you have reached that stage. What happens next? How do you ensure that you sustain? Because as soon as the scaffolding and the external change agents are gone, it fails and fails flat. And so what to do in that case? And again, so the response was like, we have to work on evolving culture. How should we go about it? How? Right now, the challenge is my manager is struggling with what should I be doing, because now we have a product management group as well and a Scrum Master and Agile COE group as well, and there is so much of divided direction. So yes, those were the challenges. Sustaining, oh, it is a far-fetched goal, because guess what? We haven't even reached to the scaling. So in a nutshell, if I talk about transformation in the organizations,